There is a strong evidence that during periods of relative well-being or mental serenity, the human brain tends to seek out or generate negative thoughts, almost as if it wanted to make itself busy. Assume a state of worry, even creating narratives that can convince us that everything could suddenly go wrong or end. This feels like a paradox, but it is partly due to the negativity bias, an evolutionary trait that leads us to focus more on potential threats rather than positive experiences, relaxation, or meditative states. On average, approximately 80% of our emotions are negative by default. The brain is prone to generating anticipatory anxiety, even while having no reason to be anxious at all. This anticipatory anxiety, this anticipatory worrying, becomes active even in the absence of real threats, especially in people sensitive to uncertainty. And these are years of great uncertainties. The so-called default mode network, or brain default network, active during rest, often generates hypothetical or ruminative thoughts, including imagined negative, sometimes even catastrophic scenarios. At a conscious level, it can eventually result in inclinations aimed at triggering drama deliberately, for example, or feelings of unease based on unfounded premises. On the other hand, the brain is also culturally and socially conditioned to have problems all the time. To take it for granted, and therefore implicitly conditioned to always have to solve problems. It feels almost awkward, somehow, to be in a temporary state with no problems at all. It feels like being in a liminal state, a place in between places. Unfortunately, the brain is not positively conditioned to ask itself what a problem is and what should be done to understand a problem without necessarily immediately jumping into the desire to solve it. Many of the problems we have are in fact problems that we do not understand. We do not even try to understand them, yet we want them to disappear. We want to solve them. We want to get out of them. We want to go back to comfort. And yet, understanding them is usually not what we want. Obviously, there are continuous technical problems that must be solved. Life problems, broken things, tasks to perform, and all the rest of that. But then there are existential problems also, mental problems, and cognitive problems. Problems related to comparison, for instance, to not fully understood coping mechanisms, to sensations where we feel that we do not have what we would like to have, to the dissatisfaction that exists in the space between how things are and how we would like them to be, and so on. The root meaning of the term problem means, from Greek, anything thrown forward or something that is projected. This means that there is a mental representation of the problem. There is a psychological construction that we then project into the future. This means that there is a mental representation of the problem first. The mental representation of the problem is not the problem, it's a description of the problem. There is a psychological construction that we then project into the future, but that nevertheless does not mean that it is real, nor that it will happen to us, neither that its construction is really truthful. Knowing this psychological construction, this image, this mental representation, this description deeply, intelligently, with patience, means understanding the problem, and whether the problem is real or not. Not figuring how to fix it or how to handle it, but rather understanding the existential problem, understanding its description, its mental representation, its psychological structure, its premises, its roots, and its conditioning is pretty much all we need to know how to figure out what to do with that problem.